Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and the stream setup, because today we are going to be, or I am going to be, well actually you can react if you want to as well in the comments below. I'm going to be reacting to a video, a stand-up comedy skit from Trevor Noah. You might know him from The Daily Show, and he has a skit that is called Jokes About Deaf People, and I am going to react to that today. Now, if I'm going to be completely transparent, this is probably my third time in like 4 months trying to film this. So it's not going to be, I don't want to say it's not going to be a genuine reaction, because it is. These are still my genuine thoughts, but it's not a first time fresh reaction, obviously. Also, let me know how you like the setup of how I'm gonna do the reaction videos, especially as I do like when I'm doing it in speaking mode and not signing mode. Just let me know if you have any advice, because this is more difficult than I imagined. Don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see any of the other reaction videos I have done. I have a playlist I will have linked up here, so you can go check those out. There are about 2 or 3 other videos available, so after this, go check that out. If you would like to support my content, I have a Patreon page that I will link down below, or you can join the channel. Actually, both systems or both platforms have different perks, so you can choose whichever one fits your fancy. Alright, let's get started, shall we?
We don't celebrate our heroes enough in this country. So many of our heroes, we chastise them. We bring them down. It's jealousy, it's hatred. Umona. Heroes that we don't acknowledge. Greats. After Nelson Mandela, we always go, nobody else can live up to that. Yeah, but there's small levels of greatness. You don't even have to look far. For instance, our great sign language interpreter. Tamsanga. Yankees.
If you don't know about this whole incident, when Nelson Mandela died, there was a sign language interpreter. He has been made famous with memes and everything because it was just so bad. Illegible. Is that the word, illegible? Nobody could understand it. It was just another thing of fake interpreters, but I think he is the most famous one that there is currently.
He was there at Nelson Mandela's memorial service, a service that the whole world was watching, and because of that, the service was translated to everyone all over the world, translated into all languages, including sign language. And so Yankees was there translating for those who didn't understand.
And we would all say thank you very much. That is very appreciative. However,
and so Yankees was there translating for those who didn't understand. Unfortunately, he also didn't understand sign language, which is a small problem, a problem that he didn't let stop him, people. Where others see obstacles, he saw an opportunity.
Follow your dreams, man. Follow your dreams, I guess.
People go, he's a con man. He's a bloody, how could he do something so deceitful? Yeah, you gotta go, how could he do something so deceitful? That man Yankees showed something so powerful. He's a role model to the children. Because he showed that you shouldn't listen to what people say you can or cannot do. And he did it. He did sign language for the most powerful people in the world. Every single one of them, Yankees, was on that stage doing it, and doing it well. Nobody even suspected him. Nobody. People were just like, he's doing his thing. People ask questions, where did he come from? Did he sneak? He didn't sneak in. He'd been the official sign language interpreter for the government for the last 5 years. Yeah, official for the last 5 years. And apparently before this, people have complained, but obviously the complaints fell on deaf ears, so nothing was done about it.
No. It fell on hearing ears that would not listen, because we pay attention more than you all do. I always love it when people say falls on deaf ears, because I'm always like, no. I put more effort than you do, so don't tell me it fell on deaf ears.
So he just carried on. And now he was here, the biggest event of his life, signing for the world. Signing, just making it up, in the zone. Nobody suspected. I suspected though. I did. I did. Let me tell you why. No. Let me tell you why. Not because I know sign language, but because I know my president. And if there's one thing that's specific, is when Jacob Zuma reads a speech, right? Jacob Zuma reads a speech. He's a very deliberate man. He's very calm, very measured. Takes his time. You remember this? Zuma was there, reading Mandela's Wikipedia page, right? And while he was reading, Yankees was doing totally different, like the rhythm was wrong. Zuma was there like, and thereafter, Nelson Mandela.
I don't know if there are people who would get upset because Trevor is obviously faking the sign language, but in this instance. But could you imagine if he did know ASL though? Or maybe international sign. That would probably make more sense than ASL. Regardless, can you imagine though if he knew, if he actually knew it though? That would make this 10 times better, obviously.
For his prison. Mentem and to fight for the rhythm didn't match. For instance, did nobody think to ask him how he could speak every single language in the world? Every leader came from countries everywhere. They spoke in their language. Yankees translated for everyone.
Okay, so I didn't watch the memorial, or at least not the whole thing. I might have watched some of it in passing, but really? Did that happen? And nobody thought something was up, and nobody thought even before that, hey, we might want a different sign language interpreter for every person that comes in? Okay.
Did nobody stop to ask? Even for a second. The president of Brazil is standing up there. Nelson Mandela está do pai.
Oh, has anyone been watching The Circle Brazil? I had never heard Portuguese until that show, and I watched the 4 episodes that are up at the time of filming this. So good.
Did no one say, hey Yankees, you can speak Portuguese? I'm in the zone, Baba, I'm in the zone. I'm in the zone. Did nobody think to ask? He just made it up. He made everything up. And he did a great job at it. He did a great job.
But did he?
But no, we want it all in South Africa. We take it one step too far. That's what Yankees did. He had done it for everyone. He'd done a great job. The best fake sign language the world had ever seen. He had gotten away with it too, until Barack Obama came up to speak. This was a speech that was going to be performed by the most powerful man in the free world. 90 million people watching that speech. This, my friends, is the point where you pack up your little bag of tricks and you call it a day. Not Yankees. If I was Yankees, that's where I would have called it quits. I say, hey Yankees, next one, who is it? Barack Obama, the whole world is watching this one. I know, sorry guys, sorry. Sorry, hey, my fingers are crimping.
I don't know how long each speech was, but yeah, I'm sure his hands would have been cramping. Just why would you have one person, just one, for something this long? That's what I want to know.
Lost my voice, sorry.
Not wrong.
Oh no, not Yankees. They're like, Barack, he's like, I'm there. And he was. Doing sign language for Barack Obama.
I can admire the tenacity.
And they found out that while he was doing the sign language, he kept on using the same signs over and over again, right? The few real signs that he actually knew. And apparently all he knew was four things that he kept on doing repeatedly. And those things, they asked afterwards real sign language interpreters. They found out he was doing this, right? Which means greetings, yeah? Greetings, he kept on doing that. Another one he loved doing was circle, yeah? Yeah? Circle. One of his favorites was smoking, yeah? And every now and again he'd go, get a little bit of that.
That would be finger spelling, for anyone who doesn't know. So, spelling out the words, right?
Barack Obama pouring his heart out. There he is, Barack Hussein Obama. and Yankees. As Americans, Nelson Mandela's a man that showed that through peace, you could free not only the prisoner, but also the guard. Nelson Mandela's a man, he's beyond a man, he's a legacy. A legacy I could never aspire to be, but we can all look towards. And, for me, Nelson Mandela.
Quick question, because I'm curious. How accurate is Trevor's accent when he's trying to copy Obama's? I'm just curious, because I don't know.
Showed that sometimes in life, you gotta go the hard way. You gotta say the things that matter. And always remember to do what counts.
Smoking does not count, kids. Don't do it.
I could never be Nelson Mandela. Can you imagine how horrible it must have been for every single deaf person watching that speech? Imagine what it must have been like as a deaf person watching that at home, sitting there. That must have been the craziest thing they've ever seen in their lives. Deaf people just watching going, hello? Hello? What? Why is he talking about smoking? Why is he talking about smoking? I'm going to talk about Nelson Mandela. I'm talking about, talk about Nelson Mandela. What's wrong? Why is he talking about, what? Hello? Why did he? This is the worst speech ever. There's something wrong with this guy. The Rock has a smoking problem. What the hell? Talk about Mandela. This guy, what's wrong with him? This is the worst speech. I can't listen anymore. This is horrible.
I just have a thing with people trying to do deaf accents because, I don't know, there's just something about it that I don't really care for, especially since, you know, there's a lot of deaf people, oral deaf people who don't sound like that, so, I don't know, it's just something that I'm not a big fan of. But, the whole covering the eyes thing, that was good. That's what I would do. And I've seen a couple friends do that same thing, so, you know, take the hearing aids off or turn a cooker and play it off if you have one, but if you don't, just, you know, can't sing, nope, not listening anymore. Not wrong, man, not wrong.
By the way, that's only the second time I've ever told a joke about deaf people, ever. Only the second time. I told one joke when I was starting out in comedy and then I stopped, because I believed you shouldn't make jokes about disabled people, it's the wrong thing to do, it's wrong.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there can be jokes made about us. It's just who makes the joke and what the joke is. You know, there's a lot of people that are like, oh my god, you can't say anything in comedy anymore because everything's so offensive, blah, blah, blah. I mean, why would you want to be offensive in order to be funny, you know? So, I mean, like, there are disabled comedians, there are deaf comedians, actually. There is one woman, a deaf woman, I can't remember her name right now, but her skit has gone viral a lot, especially on Facebook, and she just makes jokes about herself, you know? Wanda Sykes has made jokes, she's not disabled, from what I know, but, you know, she is a minority, she's a marginalized person as a black woman and a gay woman, and, you know, she makes jokes about herself and some other serious topics that are actually good jokes just because they're also informative. So really it just depends.
I never did it again until one day my life changed. I got asked to do a show in Sun City. I was asked to do a show. Sasol was organizing a going away party for the South African Paralympic team when they were going out to London. And so they invited me, they said, Trevor, we'd like you to come and do a show to perform for Ama Kroko Kroko. We'd like, oh, you forgot. You forgot that that's the name we gave our Paralympic team. Not a nickname, that was our official name. We had Ama Boga Boga, Bafana Bafana, and Ama Kroko Kroko. We called our Paralympic athletes Ama Kroko Kroko, which means the broken things. That is the worst thing you can call a disabled person ever.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good thing to call disabled people broken, you know. I mean, I've occasionally made cracks at myself being like, my ears are broken, but it's one thing if you say it about yourself, but to call a bunch of disabled athletes broken is like, it just in the way that this is, right? It's, or for what exactly this is for. That's a very bad thing to call them, or call us. I don't know if there might be worse things, like slurs and whatnot, but, yeah, Trevor's right. Why would you call your team that? Don't do it.
And because I'm there, I did no jokes about disabled people or anything that could be seen as offensive. I did nothing like that. And after the show, I was meeting some of the guys, everything went well. And one of the athletes came up to me, and I'll never forget this till the day I die. He came up to me, and he was partially deaf. And he introduced himself, and he was a fan, a great fan. And he was like, hey, Trevor, hey man, how are you? I said, hey, how you doing, buddy? How are you? Good to meet you. Good. He said, yeah, man, great to meet you. I'm a big fan. I said, oh, thank you very much. Thank you. He said, yeah, dude, I love your stuff. You know, you have subtitles because, you know, sometimes I don't get it because I'm partially deaf. I was like, oh, I didn't even notice. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I didn't even know. I just thought you had an accent. That's cool, man. That's nice to meet you. He said, yeah, that's cool, man. I didn't have a question if you don't mind. I said, yeah, go ahead. Said, how come you never tell jokes about deaf people? So I'm sorry, what? I don't tell jokes about deaf people. He said, yeah. How come you never tell jokes about deaf people? So what do you mean? So well, you tell jokes about everyone. Short people, black, white, everyone. But I've never heard you tell a joke about deaf people. Why? So you've never heard me tell a joke.
Yeah.
About deaf people. Yeah. No man, not like that, you stupid. No man, you're an idiot. I said, no, dude, I don't know. I don't make jokes about deaf people. He said, yeah, why not? I was like, because I can't do. I shouldn't make jokes about deaf people because if I did that, then deaf people would be hurt and they would be offended. Why would we be hurt? It's not like we don't know we're deaf. So I never thought. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting us from what? From laughing. We also want jokes. We deaf. Yeah, we know we're different, but we still want the same things. I was like, yeah, but you know what's funny is you say I must make jokes, right? But even if you're cool with it, you know who will complain? People who can hear. Yeah, they'll complain on your behalf because that's what people do. They get offended for other people. They'll be the ones going, oh, Trevor Noah's an asshole. He made jokes about deaf people. So? Why do you care? So because it hurts. It hurts. It's like, dude, you're a comedian. Suck it up. Hey, it's easy for you. No, dude, just make the joke. If the jokes are funny, people will laugh and then we move on. I was like, yeah, you know what? You say that. But then what do I do if they complain? He's like, dude, if they complain, then complain. Okay, you know what? Go do the joke. Go do the joke. And then, if they complain, you must do what I do. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, just don't listen.
Okay, so that's the end of that. And what the fan was saying, it goes back to what I said before, context, you know, sometimes depending on who is the one making the jokes and also what kind of jokes there are, because there are some jokes that are funny, but then there are other jokes that just aren't. I don't really want to get specifics because that would take too long, but that's kind of the general consensus about comedy and jokes in general, right? In terms of like, are deaf people going to be offended by this or that? There are people that are going to be offended by things, and there are people who are not going to be offended by the same things. You know, like what I might find offensive, somebody else is not gonna find offensive, and you know, that's just the way it is. And I can always, and you know, somebody will go into the comments and be like, this is offensive, blah blah blah, and I will go in and say, well, yes it is because blah blah blah. At the end of the day, people are going to think what they're going to think, right? So such is life. But I thought that what you didn't hear me thing was funny, right? Because my friends do that to me. And for the most part, I think it's funny. If I'm in a bad mood, I might not think it's funny, but that's just because I'm in a bad mood. Nothing is funny at the time. So, yeah. Overall, I thought I've seen this skit like 4 times by now. right? So the first time I thought it was, you know, it was a fine thing. When I was told or requested or asked to do a reaction to this, I was a little bit worried. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, here comes a hearing man, a hearing comedian that says jokes about deaf people, and I'm like, this is, I'm going to get upset about this, aren't I? And then I started reading the comments, and, you know, there were alleged deaf people in the comments who said that, you know, this was funny and blah, blah, blah. So I had some hopes. And, you know, I'm pleasantly surprised. There were some things that I'm kind of like, okay, I probably wouldn't have, you know, done this exact thing. But for the most part, I like this. And some people may agree with me and some may not. And I can appreciate that Trevor added captions to this because I have a whole vendetta or a bone to pick with people who make content about deaf people and they do not caption, and I feel like I have been wanting to do a video on that. So let me know in the comments if you want a video on that. I will have the original video linked down below since a lot of this is going to be cut out, so if you want to go see the original skit for yourself, go for it. I highly recommend it. And you can let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you'd like to translate this video, I will have a link down below. Again, don't forget to subscribe, join the channel, be a member, or pledge on Patreon. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you later. Bye.